Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to one of the craziest finishes we've seen in a long time. Oh my God! I mean, really. I've been sort of covering the games, as you know, been keeping score. I wanted to keep score of this game tonight, and everything was hunky dory till that 10th inning when the umpires checked Edwin Diaz's hand, and it was a little too sticky for their comfort, I guess. But before we get into the live stream, please, of course, if you're coming in for the first time, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching a replay, leave comments in the comments section. So this was a nice game. The Mets had it all set up for the ninth inning for Edwin to come in. And what happened? What happened, folks? Well, he came in, and I don't know what a pitcher's hand looks like. I don't think they've ever shown that, but clearly he had stuff on his hand. Now he's gonna get suspended 10 games. There's no doubt. I mean, he's gonna get suspended to 10 games for this situation tonight. Uh, and unfortunately, it kills the Mets over the next 10 games. They play the Yankees, the Astros, and a few other teams, the Nationals, teams that the Mets should. I mean, really, the Mets should run over the Nationals. Be honest with you. The way the Mets have been playing, they've been playing great. At the best record in June in baseball, and this is just an annoyance, to be honest with you. Major League Baseball has a habit of coming down very hard on the Mets, and in particular, the umpires have had it out for the Mets for 35 years. But that's not really the crux of it. I mean, Diaz clearly, had sticky stuff on his hands, quite frankly, and there's really nothing that can be said. I will say this: baseball has to find a better way to uh, police this, because you can't leave it up to the judgment of the umpire. These umpires are terrible. Major League Baseball's umpires are dreadful. Everyone talks about Angel Hernandez this, Angel Hernandez that, but the umpiring baseball is dreadful. And you're asking guys that are complete idiots to judge what is sticky and what is not sticky. Now, David Cohn said during the broadcast while this was all going on that a pitcher's hand looks like that. So if a pitcher's hand looks like that on a regular basis, then how does the judgment of the umpires um, deem this more sticky than other things? Then what happened? What happened after this? They brought in Drew Smith, and I was scared shitless when I saw him because obviously he gives up the home runs. Walks batters, gives up the home runs, and he got the first out very quickly. Ian Happ, what he was thinking, Ian Happ swinging at the first pitch on Drew Smith made no sense when I saw it. And then you could tell there was something wrong with him after that. Going up against the second hitter in that inning, he was kind of doing this with his. I don't know if he was stretching out his neck or his arm, but something was wrong, and you could see it. And then obviously after the second out, after the second out, he called out Alvarez to come out. But you could tell if you were paying attention to the game, you could tell that there was an issue with him, and I noticed it right away. So I don't know, it's because he came in and they made him rush to and that's a lot of pressure when you have to come in after a pitcher gets ejected or a pitcher gets hurt. You got to get warmed up in front of all these people. Hopefully, he didn't hurt himself. He does drive us crazy, but we don't see the guy get hurt. And then they bring in the other guy, Diekman, and they bring in. Then after that, they bring in Diekman, and he scares me too. But he was able to crawl out of that ninth inning. But this is a real down. I mean, as well as they played tonight, Diaz getting thrown out, and it's not so much tonight. Like I said, he's going to get suspended 10 games, um, and that is a major problem, obviously, because they need him. He is the most important player that the Mets have. There's nobody even close. Just to give you an idea on the Mets' schedule, they played 2 games against the Yankees, 3 games against the Astros, 4 games against Washington, and then they play 3 games against Pittsburgh. Okay. How do you win these games now going late into the game? That's the one thing that's a major problem. Now, as you see the Mets playing these teams, now the Yankees have not played well. Okay. The Yankees have lost 6 out of 9, but not having Diaz for those 2 games, and it is at Citi Field, I would mention, is going to be tough. They don't really have a first baseman. They don't really have a first baseman now, the Yankees. They got Ben Rice. Who knows? Might as well be Uncle Ben out there, at this point. But you have a situation where the Mets don't have the closer, and he is the Mets' best player. There's nobody even close to him. And if he's going out there all the time, with his hands sticky every time in the same way, but then a different crew says, well, it's not sticky this time, and then tonight they said it's sticky. See, Major League Baseball, and I would say this, and Diaz's defense, a lot of this stuff happened a lot last year. It really hasn't happened that much this year. So him not pitching last year, he's kind of behind the curve a little bit. He's not the first player to get thrown out. What the hell's his name? Blanco with the Astros. After he pitched a no-hitter, he got thrown out of a game because his hand was sticky. So we've seen this year, but not so much this year like we saw last year. But they check the relievers whenever they go in the game. He has pitched, obviously since he came back from the injured list. So it's not a situation where I don't even know if his hand's been like that. Like I said, starting out this video, I've never seen a pitcher's hand that close. I mean, really, not to sound weird. I mean, it sounds weird, but have we ever seen this? Where we got that close to a pitcher's hand and you could see all the little spots on all those little white spots on his hand. I've never seen that. Let me say hello to the chat. Big Q 1977. Diaz getting ejected is crazy, but the rules are the rules. Exactly. That's what Mendoza said after the game. The rules are the rules. Nothing you can do about it. And the players wanted this, by the way. The players definitely wanted this. Because they were complaining about these pitchers and stuff. That's what Edwin Diaz had to say after the game. Edwin Diaz, if his hand was stickier than usual tonight, quote, I think it's the same. They always check me. They let me pitch. I will keep using the same thing because they didn't find anything on my glove, my hat, my belt. But they were looking at that glove a long time. Why didn't they just come out and just tell him to just clean his hands? So also would mention, Howie Rose posted this. The way things currently stand, by the time Diaz returns, you have gone 2.5 weeks without pitching. Brutal. Plus, they can't replace him on the roster. No. So the Mets are going to have a hole. They're going to have playing with a 25-man roster over the next 10 days without their best player. A Prodigy says they should move another starter to the pen. Yeah, probably McGill. But McGill should get sent down to the minors, quite frankly. L Foul Player Brooklyn. The best Mets channel on YouTube, King Hut. I will leave that on here because I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. 110%, maybe 1,000%. So such a thing as 1,000%. I got to take this down because you don't see my face. Do you really want to see my face? Okay. But, this is going to be a tough 10 games without him, and he hasn't pitched. He's not going to be able to pitch. He's not going to be able to do any kind of workout to get himself, keep himself fresh. So, it's funny because I took notes in the game. And like I said, this game was sailing along when they came back from the commercial in the 9th inning and they were standing there talking to these. I was like, oh, what's going on now? What's going on now? Is he hurt? What the hell's going on? Hold on, I need a drink. Look. I knew there was trouble once the cameras came back on at Wrigley Field. and they were looking at him and they were talking to him. And I would mention, of course, the Mets went 4-2 on the road trip. So as pissed off as some of us are about Diaz, the Mets are continuing to play well. TFX 121. I am drinking iced tea. That's what I'm drinking. John from Albany. Is Drew Smith hurt? It certainly looked like that, John. It certainly looked like that. Certainly looked like there was an issue there. He, like I said before, he was doing this. He was like stretching his neck out. I think he did something to his neck. And then they were looking at his hand. I don't know what the hell the cameras were doing in this game. But let's run down the game a little bit because there was a game that happened prior to the ninth inning. And like I said, I kept score of the game the way I keep score. And I took notes. Obviously, Luis Severino pitched really well tonight. He went 6 innings, struck out 10 batters. The key batter in this game was Cody Bellinger, and he threw 12 pitches. He really battled. That was the key at bat in the middle of the game. And really, that was the key at bat in the game, totally. Because Bellinger kept fouling pitches off and went to a 3-2 count. And fortunately, Severino was able to strike him out on a four-seamer, 98 miles per hour. So he was really throwing hard tonight, Severino. And this was a good bounce-back game for him. Because obviously he went up against a really good lineup. This lineup sucks. The Cubs lineup stinks. The lineup for the Cubs is not very good. And I was not that impressed with them, to be honest with you. Bellinger has been a disaster. Hap, I don't know what's going on with him. Pico Armstrong, I know he had a good game yesterday. The kid can't hit. His bat is slow, and that's what was the word was when the Mets drafted him, that his bat was not very good. That was not his best attribute as a player. But the Cubs are not a very good team, just from what I saw. Even with this billion-dollar manager they have and Craig Counsell, he cannot make them hit. And the Mets beat up on Javier Assad in this game. They were hitting balls hard all over the field. Obviously, the back-to-back home runs by Lindor and them on the third inning opened up the game for the Mets and put them ahead in the game. They weren't going to turn, and even with the 2 runs that Morel hit later on, they still would have won the game. Obviously, the most impressive at bat of the night was from Mark Vientos when he hit that bomb in the 5th inning, 451 feet. 451 feet. He just smoked that ball. Absolutely, positively smoked that ball. I had said for a while that he was so much better as a hitter than Brett Beatty. I'm so happy he's gotten a chance to prove to everybody that he can hit. He always had a reputation of that he was a good hitter. When the Mets drafted him in 2017, he was the youngest player in that draft at 17 years old. It is great to watch him develop over the last 2 years, and in particular this past offseason. Obviously, the work that he's put in has really been quite inspiring. He has done an excellent job. With his defense. Still has work to do defensively, but the Mets can live with him as long as he's doing what he's doing offensively, and he's done a great job offensively, obviously. So I can't say enough great things about him, and I love being right about a player. So I'm very happy that I was thinking about this today driving home. The only player I was really fooled about when it came to guys that was a rookie and he was a young player and he fooled me was Ike Davis. He's really the guy that really fooled me as a player. I thought he would be much better than he was, and after he had that injury, even before that, he wasn't very good. Randy Fernandez says, "What's going on, Hud? I didn't watch the game, but I heard about Diaz. Who ended up closing the game? Jake Diekman. The Mets went to Drew Smith, and he got 2 outs and he gave up a hit, and then he's having some problem with his arm, and the Mets went to Diekman to finish out the game. Hello, Stony814. Hiya, Hud. I called the game today. The Mets win. Well, yeah. It was very hairy that night then. I was getting very nervous, to be honest with you, Stony. Missio Poras. My guy, the Hud, going to remain positive and hope the starting pitching and the offense keeps this team rolling while Edwin is out. I mean, that's the thing that sucks. Is Edwin's going to be out 10 games and they're going to be going up against some really good teams. The Yankees are obviously the Yankees. Now, they've not played well, the Yankees. The Yankees have not played well at all. And they're dealing with some injuries. Obviously, they lost Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo broke his arm in a collision with our buddy Dom Smith. And, of course, Giancarlo Stanton. He's hitting great. Got hurt again. That is Stanton, right? Everybody's been bragging about it. He's back to being who he's been. He's hitting the ball hard, and he got hurt. Stony814 says, still love your hat, Hud. Yes, this is a new hat that I have. It is a prototype. It is the baseball Hud hat. And trying to try some different things here. I might put it up for sale somewhere. But I'm not too happy with this hat. The hat looks great. The hat looks good. It's a high quality hat. But the problem is there's a problem with this part. It looks good, but it only looks good. It's not embroidery. Let's put it that way. All the hats, all the good ones are embroidered. But I'll keep you up to date on the hats. I know some people are interested in the hats. I do have hats on my YouTube shop, but I don't know the quality of them. I don't know if they're embroidered or whatnot. But what was interesting about this game before the ninth inning was that at bat with Bellinger, and they went through a lot of stuff during the game. I took some notes. Lindor over the last month, he went from hitting 191 to 243, and obviously hit that big home run in the third inning. And obviously, that kind of opened the game up for the Mets. But he's played great. He should not be batting third anymore. He should be batting leading off. He should lead off the game. I think that's the perfect spot for him. He takes enough pitches. He drives the ball. He's tough late, and he'll drive and runs when you need him. Batting third is not his deal. It's not where he is. A Prodigy says, like how they switched Severino with Peterson, put both of them in more favorable matchups. Peterson has good numbers against Soto. Interesting. Interesting. That's interesting. I mean, that's the one thing. They did it the last minute before the series started. They said they were going to pitch Severino instead of Peterson, because I talked about this in a video that the Mets were going to pitch Severino or they're going to pitch Peterson tonight. So this was a pretty good matchup for him because they're very right-handed, the Cubs, and their right-handed hitters aren't very good. They're just not a good team. To be honest with you, how they got the postseason last year is beyond me. The Daniel Nunez came in the game. He hadn't pitched in a week. I don't know if what the deal was with Nunez, why he hadn't pitched in a week. I don't know if he was nursing an injury, but he hadn't pitched. He gave up a 2-run home run to Morel in the 7th inning. Then Reed Garrett came in. He pitched a perfect 8th inning. And obviously the mess with Diaz, and then they brought in poor Drew Smith. And, of course, Jake Diekman closed out the game. A Prodigy says, so Nunez had been sick. Interesting. Because we hadn't heard anything. We hadn't heard anything about what was going on with him. So what did he have, like the flu, COVID? Well, if he had COVID, they would have told us, I guess. They would have told everybody. But also, J.D. Martinez, they went through some numbers early in the game. J.D. Martinez over the last 20 games has an OPS of 1067. Wow. A sinus infection. Okay. A Prodigy says that Nunez had a sinus infection. Okay. So Martinez has been lights out. That guy, I'm just thinking about this more and more. He is going to get a lot of Hall of Fame votes. He really is. Now we got a real chance to see how he is as a hitter. He is awesome, awesome to watch. I mean, that ball he hit in the first inning to dead center field, and Carl Armstrong didn't catch that ball. I thought that ball was going out at first, and that he just absolutely crushed that ball. Um, he's so good going to right field. He's so good going up the middle. When you have a hitter that's a right-handed hitter and is able to do that, we saw that with Mike Piazza. That is a very difficult out. Stony814 says, "Do you think the Mets will keep Salvi at the trade deadline hunt? I love Severino. Well, he is a very good pitcher. We'll see. I mean, if the Mets can prize something away from another team that has something in a surplus, maybe some team that's a playoff team. Uh, and we got Senga coming back. We got Christian Scott's going to be coming back. I would expect that Jose Buto is going to get some. Is going to get some time back here in the majors. I know that before the game, Mendoza mentioned Christian Scott that he was going to come back at some point because after the games with the Yankees, the Mets are basically going to be playing every day until the All-Star break. So there's a lot of games between then and now. That's what SMY, what Francisco Lindor said. Francisco Lindor, if it means anything, that 3 Mets pitchers have been suspended for sticky stuff in just over a year. Quote, has nothing to do with that. We are the Mets. It has nothing to do with the personnel that we have. It's just an unfortunate situation. I agree. And I think the Mets get hit harder than most people. I mean, the Mets take the hits that all the other teams don't get. Let's see. I don't want to see anything about Drew Smith. I don't see anything about him. Nothing here. But Stony814 says, I don't see McGill as a starter. You know what? I don't know where he's going in his career because I don't see him being really a piece in the bullpen. I don't think he has the mentality. Now, his brother's a good reliever. His brother, Trevor McGill, is a really good reliever. So I'm very, I don't know if he has the mentality. This is Tyler. I don't know if he has the mentality to be a reliever like his brother is. His brother's having a big year with the Brewers. Wow, he's gonna make the All-Star team. His brother, and his brother's numbers aren't that great. They weren't as great until this year. But Trevor McGill has 15 saves. Wow, 22 in the third innings, 2.01 ERA, 5 earned runs. He's given up 1 home run, 7 strikeouts, which is very different than his brother because his brother walks the ballpark and gives up home runs like crazy. Wow. And it's funny, Tyler's had so many big moments as a player. He started the no-hitter. He pitched great 2 years ago. I mean, he was so important to the Mets 2 years ago in April. Then he wasn't pitching well, and then he got hurt. And that's sort of been his sort of mantra. He pitches well, then he gets hurt. And then when he comes back, he doesn't pitch as well. So, his numbers aren't great. He's 19 and 20, 4.73 ERA in his career. 307 hits over 297 innings, 46 home runs. 46 home runs in 65 appearances and 59 starts for Tyler McGill. That is just crazy. His walks per 9 innings the last 2 years is 4.1 and 4.3. 3.5 over his career. But the home run total for Tyler is just insane. 46 home. That's almost a home run a game. Almost a home run a game. That is insane. To have that many home runs for a guy that hasn't pitched that much. I mean, that's basically a home run a game. But now the Mets are off. They'll be playing the Yankees on Tuesday. and then they play them on Wednesday, and then they're off again on Thursday. Thursday is the last off day for the Mets until the All Star break. And so the Mets are probably going to go to a 6-man rotation, um, and probably they'll probably keep McGill in the rotation for now, unless they decide to take him out. Maybe they'll put Buto out in there along with Christian Scott. We'll see how that transpires over the next couple weeks. But we've got 3 more weeks until the All Star break, and we got 19 games. Right now, the Mets are 2 games on the 500. They're in great shape. It's going to be interesting how they play against the Yankees. The Yankees are hurting. Obviously, they lost Giancarlo Stanton. They don't have Anthony Rizzo. So these are all-star players that are not in their lineup. Even though Aaron Judge is doing what he does until he runs into another fence. He's another one that's always hurt, as you know. So he's due to get hurt at some point. Now, he better not be near any kind of walls. So hopefully they can, the Yankees can find a way to keep, Horseface away from any kind of doors or fences. But and obviously Juan Soto is going to loom large this week. We're all going to be talking about Soto, where he's going to play next year, and the Mets are certainly going to be in the talks with him. They're definitely going to talk to him. There is no doubt in my mind they will talk to Juan Soto. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. So they're going to be talking to Juan Soto in the offseason, but we're not too concerned about that right now. The 2 games under 500, they've played great. They've played really well, and that's great to see. It's been a long time we've seen this team click like this, and we can kind of attribute to one player, and that's JD Martinez. Because Martinez wasn't there with the Mets in spring training, and obviously his positive effect on this ball club with his critiquing the hitters, critiquing his teammates at bats. You see the difference with this team. You've seen the difference with this group, with him in the lineup. It has trickled down to the entire ball club. Pete is getting better at having better at bats. He's getting better pitches to hit. Obviously, Francisco Alvarez coming back has energized this group as well. Vientos has been carrying the load at third base. Nimmo has picked it up since the Mets pulled him out of the 3 spot and put him in the 2 spot. And I would mention this. Harrison Bader had a really good game tonight. I just want to mention that he went 2 for 3 tonight, or 2 for 3 tonight. Let me just double check. Went 2 for 2 tonight with 2 doubles and an RB and a walk. Scored 2 runs, had a stolen base. He was the first run the Mets scored on the home run by Lindor. So he had a really strong game. He had a good defensive game too. Because there was a couple of balls that I thought that he wasn't going to get to, and he got to them. So he had a very good game tonight. I don't want to forget about him because he scored 2 runs in this game, and obviously batting ninth is an interesting spot. Now, the one person and the one player on this team who did not have a good game again is Jeff McNeil. 0 for 4 tonight. The Mets have a bit of a problem there. I will have a video, and I recorded it during the game, about Luis Angel Acuna. I know the Mets are very high on him. That's the rumor. The Mets are extremely high on what he's doing down there in AAA. He's hitting 288 in the month of June. His OPS is a little low, but his on-base percentage has been high. He's been stealing bases. He's been hitting really well down there. It is going to be interesting how much longer he's down there. because McNeil is really struggling, and you can't. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. But he's really the. Other than this craziness with Diaz in the ninth inning, that's really a concern, obviously going forward. But at least they do have Jose Iglesias that they could put in and fill in when he's not playing. That's the one caveat and the good news in all this. This is from Jesse Rogers, ESPN. Crew chief Vic Carapazza with the Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz being ejected tonight in the Mets Cubs game after checking his hand. It definitely wasn't rosin and sweat. We've checked thousands of these. I know what that feeling is. This was very sticky. Okay, but here's the thing. They check him every game. So how is this different than any other game? How is this different than any other game? Yeah, I mean, the inconsistency is the craziest thing. Stony814 says, "Is Drew Gilbert doing good, Hut? He will be ready. The word is that he'll be back in July. That injury he had, what a crazy injury. Hamstring pulls are funny, but his seemed to be a little bit more funny than most. I mean, really, to be honest with you, that injury, boy, that he had, to that hamstring, he's been out since the first week of the season." And they said he was only going to be out for 10 days, or 2 weeks or whatever it was, or 7 days. I don't remember, and he's been out for 3 months. So it must have been a very severe injury that he had to that hamstring. And it's taken him forever to come back. I would mention that Starling Marte is going to get his knee examined tomorrow when the Mets come home. It'll be interesting to see what the results are for that injury when we get back to the Mets on Tuesday. I mean, what are they going to find there with that knee? Because they said that his right knee's been giving him a problem for quite a while. And obviously they took him out of the game early yesterday, and he was dealing with it on Friday. But that is something to keep an eye on. Also, Kodai Senga today was able to pitch to batters at Port St. Lucie. So I think he's going to probably pitch a bullpen probably with the Mets, and then they'll probably get a rehab assignment at some point. He's getting close to being here with the Mets, but probably not till after the All-Star break. Probably sometime before the trading deadline. His development and getting back in the rotation will determine if the Mets start moving some of these starters to get another late inning reliever. This team needs a setup man the worst way. I don't trust any of these guys. The setup for Diaz, and they could use another guy for the ninth inning, to be honest with you. So that's something the Mets. That's the rumor that the Mets are looking at a setup man, a late inning leverage guy that could come in and get some big outs in the eighth inning, and the Mets really could use that certainly. Now, what else they could use? I mean, just looking at this team, there really isn't a lot here that they could use because everybody's playing well. Missio Poras, Hut, why does MLB hate the Mets so much? ESPN, Fox, WFN, MLB all hate the Mets. I didn't think the ESPN broadcast was that bad. I love David Cohn. I thought Coney's great in the booth. I think Eduardo Perez is good. I didn't think the broadcast tonight was bad. Fox is pretty bad. I don't know why they hate the Mets so much. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, I think we all kind of know that I talked about that a lot over the years. WFN, that's part of their grift. WFN is part of hating the Mets is part of their grift of complaining about the Mets and showing them very little respect. That's part of the grift and part of the narrative that the Mets can't do anything right. The Mets are a disaster. The Mets don't do this right. They don't do that right. and that's all that it's about, and that's what it's always been about. And at every turn they always throw a monkey wrench. I could never ever believe how uh, Chase Utley took out Ruben Tejada years ago, and he did not get suspended for that series in the NLDS. I couldn't believe that all those years later. Why he didn't get suspended? Everybody in the ballpark knew that he was trying to hurt him. Everybody knew that he was trying to hurt Ruben Tejada, and he never got suspended. And then when the Mets tried to retaliate the following year, right away, Syndergaard got thrown out of that game. Everybody laughs about that whole situation. Terry Collins going crazy, and the umpire saying, that nonsense. But that was so unfair. The Mets got treated so poorly, and Joe Torre treated the Mets so poorly over the years in that job, because he was the one that was meaning out all that discipline. Now I know that WFAN, there's people talking about WFAN, that the Spaz and the Coconut, which is Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata, were talking about it would be good if the Mets lose this series against the Cubs and play well against the Yankees. No. You play well to both of them. You play well against both of them. You take a series, you take the series from the Cubs, you split the series with the Yankees, fine. But this idea that you lose a series against the Cubs and you play well against the Yankees, that is some kind of success. And then we have Frank Fleming, who was loving the Mets this weekend. I told you, that is the biggest grift. Frank Fleming is the biggest grift in creation. He screams about the Mets on camera and these angry tweets, but he's full of shit because he can't be complaining now about what's going on with the Mets. He's got to he had to be honest for once. And usually he's very negative. Or maybe it's just that he's losing so much weight, he's not so negative. That he feels more healthier and it just feels like a better person physically. Maybe that's why. I mean, he lost like 5,000 pounds, and he's getting more attention. He's probably getting more women bothering him, They're probably like, you lose 200 pounds there, Frank. I'll talk to you. He's probably like, okay, or texting, hopefully he's not texting women like Mickey Callaway was texting women. Remember Mickey Callaway, ding, 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 ding. Let's go out, but ding, ding, ding. Oh, you look great. I saw you standing in the stands by the dugout. I know I was distracted. That's why I screwed the lineup, but I'll talk to you after the game. That's probably what happened. I'll talk to you after I get thrown out of this game. But yeah, I mean, the Mets have played so well, but still, there's still 2 games under 500. There's still 2 games under 500 right now, and they have to get to 500. I've talked about that. That is extremely important. I want to see the Mets be a 500 team by the All-Star break, which is in 3 weeks. If they can sort of maintain what they're doing, get to 2 games over 500 over the next 19 games, be 11-8, be 11-8. They'd have to be over 500. Then I would be very comfortable. I'd be very comfortable about where this team is. Now, I'd said over the really in the offseason, and it proved right, that I was very concerned about the first 2 months of the season because the Mets had a very difficult schedule. I was more concerned about April than I was really about May, and May was just a complete disaster with the Mets. But I figured that things would start to pick up once we got through those 2 months, and the young pitching that the Mets have in their farm system starts to percolate and get to the major leagues. Now, Christian Scott has not won a game with the Mets, but he provides something. He has an electric arm. He's probably going to be a number 3 starter, but he has an electric arm. His ball really jumps. He's got very good breaking stuff, and he's going to be a good pitcher for a long time. God willing, he stays healthy, but he's got a chance to be really, really good out of the rotation. So for me, I'm very excited to see him pitch. And Jose Butto has been a surprise because here's the thing about Butto. He'd gone through the Mets farm system, considered like a top 30 prospect for a long time. And over the last 3 or 4 years, he sort of took a big step back. But now he's reemerged as a guy that could be a good starter at the back of your rotation. And he has to keep the walks down. He pitched really good on Friday for the Syracuse team. And he's got a chance to be a good back of the rotation, inexpensive starter. That's really what this whole thing about Dave Stearns is about, and what Moneyball is about, and the way new baseball is to find the most value out of a player where you're not spending a lot of money of. That's the whole point of Moneyball. That's why they call it Moneyball, is being able to find value in players. It's like this thing with Torrens. Luis Torrens that the Mets brought in, the catcher from the Yankees. The Mets only spent $100,000 in that trade with the Yankees, and he has played great. And he won a couple games for the Mets. And even Steve Cohen said, look, what he's doing, what Dave Stearns is doing, he's trying to win games. He's trying to win games by spending money in such a way that he's bringing in players that's helping them succeed in these games. And that's a lot of fun. I mean, I don't like talking about the Mets being bad. Okay. Believe me, I don't like having to sort of complain that this guy's not putting in the effort. This guy's a loser. This guy shouldn't be in the major leagues. I don't want to talk about that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. But I will do that because I need to be honest for you folks and tell you what I think. And if I don't, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do here. And it's not just about, telling you what you want to hear, but it's also about being honest about these players. We can't be worried about what they think about us because we're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be doing this for a long time. We're going to be going on a long journey to get another World Series for the Mets, and we're just getting warmed up. This is year 4, season 4 of our journey on YouTube and beyond. I would mention in the second inning, Alvarez, I don't know what he was thinking. He got thrown out at third base, but he didn't take a good lead. He didn't take a good lead in that when he got that double, and he got thrown out by Crow Armstrong. He completely misread that ball in the outfield. Completely misread that ball in the outfield, and he almost misread a ball later on in the game too. But the Mets will be playing the Yankees on Tuesday and Wednesday. David Peterson goes on Tuesday. I don't know who pitches on Wednesday. Let me just check Baseball Reference. Now, in the meanwhile, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're watching on replay, leave comments in the comment section. I'll be back in a future live stream at some point. We'll see. All right, let's see. Oh boy, this is an interesting matchup for the Mets. The Mets are going up against Garrett Cole on Tuesday in his second start against David Peterson. So I can see why they didn't want to pitch Severino against him. And Luis Gil will be going up against Sean Manaea on Wednesday. So the Mets are sending 2 lefties on the mound against the Yankees. Well, that's how you get the Yankees. You throw lefties at them. And that's always the deal is you send them, even on the road you send it. Especially when the Yankees are the road team. Some Bob Nightingale. 10-game suspension. The Diaz will be announced on Monday. Oh, that's great. That's great. I can't wait. Again, the crew chief said this. It definitely wasn't rosin and sweat. We've checked thousands of these. I know what that feeling is. This was very sticky. It sounds gross. It sounds like a gross thing to talk about. It really is. This whole thing is gross. I mean, the whole thing is really quite disgusting that we're talking about a guy's hand being sticky. I mean, really, at this point, a grown man's hand being sticky, he gets thrown out of a baseball game. The players of the 1920s and before that, they'd be rolling over their graves. You imagine Gaylord Perry? Gaylord Perry wouldn't be able to get out of the bullpen, you know, with all of the stuff he was using. I'm surprised he never slid off the mound with all the stuff that was coming off of him. Or even like Joe Niekro. Joe Niekro with the Emery board. I'm surprised we haven't seen Emery boards. Everything's this sticky substance. And meanwhile, you know guys that have used it. We know that Gary Cole, Jerry Toyle, Jerry Curl. We know he's used sticky stuff. I remember he got all nervous a couple of years ago. He was getting all nervous and all flustered about I. You know, when they started asking, when the media started asking him about that. But he doesn't get thrown out. And we've seen. Remember who was the Yankee? Herman last year or 2 years ago. Or last year. Herman, the guy that was drinking in the Yankee clubhouse and fighting with everybody. He washed his hands. They let him wash his hands, and then he threw the perfect game against the A's, and then later on in the season he got thrown out of a game because his hands were still sticky. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. That's right, Jerry Cole. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you call him. That is like the most pretentious name. That name bothers the hell out of me. They can never get it right. Jerry Cole, Jerry Curl. I mean, really. It's a very uncomfortable name. I don't really care for that name. That's not a baseball name. It sounds like the name of like a soap opera star. It really does. Or a soap opera character. Not that I watch soap operas. I'm just saying. That's to me. Do they have soap operas on the TV anymore? I don't even know. I guess they do. I don't know. Missy Opora says, I have so much to say about Aaron Judge. I can't stand him. Did you see that video of him standing next to the Munchkin, Ken Rosenthal? Ken Rosenthal looks literally like a Munchkin. I swear to God. He's a tiny little guy. Tiny. I always find it funny when the shortest man in the world, Jose Altuve, stands next to him. That always cracks me up. That cracks me up beyond belief. I would mention, you're not going to find this kind of talk on any of your other serious YouTube channels. All those other YouTube channels aren't going to make fun of the players. Aren't going to make fun of the players and make fun of the chat too, and make fun of myself. How many people are going to call like one of the best players in the game horse face? He's got a horse face. He's got a long face. You know, I got a round face. I got a pumpkin head. It's really what I got. Pumpkin head. You know. But you know, over the next couple of days, over the next few weeks, I mean, we've learned a lot about this club. They got rid of some dead weight on this club. They got rid of Joey Wendell, who looks like he was scared shitless being here in New York. He was scared to death. They got rid of Omar Narvaez, and that seemed to really loosen this group up because Narvaez was so much dead weight. There's so much dead weight on this team with Narvaez and stuff. Sir Foul Player Brooklyn says the serious channels are hawking gambling. Ain't that the truth, brother? I ain't hawking anything. I might hawk a baseball hat and some other things down the line, but that's stuff from me. I'm not talking about these gambling rackets that these other channels are pushing. Now, I didn't want to talk about this really because I didn't do a video on this on the Baseball Hotel. Okay. But I figured I'd talk about this. Nobody's watching. Nobody watches my show. Nobody watches what I have to say here. And to be honest, I don't care what I say. Then if you've been watching me for a long time, you know I don't care what I say. But I've been trying to get different guests on my show, and I haven't been able to get a lot of people on the show. Okay. You know, I try to get some of my comic book associates, on the show, and they're all busy. That's just fine. But I've tried to get the other YouTubers to come on, and really, I've only had really success from 2 or 3 of them from the past. You know the guys that have been on this show. Um, but the Met YouTubers are some of the most stubborn people I've ever met online. They're closed-minded. They're very unfriendly, and some of them are very odd. The oddest was Mets fans only, if you remember him. I'm not going to get into the story with him, but he was a very strange guy and a nasty guy, and caused a lot of trouble behind the scenes. But he did do something that made a lot of sense, and it still makes sense. Is that he thought it would be great, and he was right, that Mets YouTubers should collaborate and do live streams together. And all the big Met channels that are out there, nobody streams with each other. Nobody. And for the life of me, it took me a while to figure it out. And a lot of it has to do with these clicks. A lot of it has to do with they don't want to be associated with certain people. Some of them don't want to be involved outside of those that aren't in the media. They look at the media as the panacea. I would also mention about the media. The media is slowly pushing themselves into our platforms, onto our platform here. They're slowly doing stuff. WFAN's been doing a lot of live streams, uh, pissing and shitting on the Mets in particular. They haven't done that much with the Yankees. When the Yankees win a game or lose a game, they don't do a live stream. But with the Mets, they do that. And for whatever reason, they don't do any Yankee streams. But so I've sort of taken this tact, and you could do this on YouTube. There is no intellectual property between, say, one baseball YouTuber and another one. So I have my trusty phone here, and I have an app. This is called the Studio Creators app. And if you go on this app, this will tell you all the little statistics. I don't know if you can see it. All these little statistics about your audience. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something that I don't know if you're interested in it, but I always interested in this stuff. This will tell you whose audiences that I share with, which is rather some interesting people. Wardy, is on here. Locked On Mets, WFAN, SNY, the baseball had too, believe it or not. The New York Mets, obviously. TMKS Baseball News, which is the Michael K show. This guy rips off their broadcast and he makes money off of it. The Mike Francesa podcast, Talking Mets with Rob, and a Mets Up podcast. The Mets Up podcast was basically the Mets podcast that they had last year that they played, and that included the pencil neck Mark, not giraffe neck Mark, pencil neck Mark, and that show was so great they fired these guys. They fired them. I mean, nobody says it, but they were fired. Pencil neck Mark got fired by the Mets. But a lot of these channels, I don't think Wardy does this, or maybe he does. I don't know. A lot of them are all, and I don't think Mets talk. I don't think Rob does it either. But I don't care for people coming at me online and saying two things about me. Okay, basically because I don't really brag about myself online. I don't. If you guys know me from watching my channel, I don't talk about myself much. Okay, but I don't like it when people accuse me of being a liar. I've been like this since I was a kid. I don't like people saying that I'm a thief. Locked On Mets accused me of being a thief the other day. Now, YouTube recommends, folks, that you pay attention to these other channels and what they do on YouTube. Okay? YouTube tells you to follow these channels or channels your audiences watches. Okay? And you'll notice that there are a lot of videos that seem similar, what the content is. And if you go to other content, there are clicks online that do similar titles, say with entertainment. Some channels will do the same kind of content, same titles, and there's no problem. Well, this Locked On Mets clown basically accused me of stealing his videos. Now, you guys know me for many years doing these videos. There's nobody. Would I steal from anybody? I don't think so. But what I've done is I was experimenting with my channels. I'm very busy doing 4 channels now, and they're all monetized. So, but this is the quiet time of year. So I will experiment with my channels. I don't need somebody pissing and moaning on Twitter accusing me of something that isn't true and that YouTube encourages. Now, clearly, this person, this Ryan guy, I don't say his name, I don't care. He will never, and the hut means ever, say anything on his channel about this channel. He'll bitch and moan about it on Twitter, but he won't say anything about me on YouTube because he's an employee of Locked On Mets. Locked On Mets. Accuses me of being a thief, but meanwhile, Locked On Mets promotes gambling and betting. There is no bigger thieves than gamblers and bookies and all those people, all that criminal element surrounding it. Okay? Now, he is an employee of this Locked On Sports Network, which is these podcasts, which is part of this corporation named Tenga. That's the name of the corporation. I looked this up the other night because I was so ticked off. I was so ticked off by that I looked this guy up. I looked up his company. He is an employee of Tenga. He makes and most of the podcasters that work for them make $18,000 to $20,000 a year without doing any work on their channels. So right off the bat, they are an employee. So he can't go on a live stream and complain about me because he will get in trouble because he is not an independent guy. And I've heard of him before. So his channel came after my channel. So, and obviously these other podcasts have come after mine. And they all do the same stuff. They do 1 video a day. They'll do random live streams, random shorts. It's all scatterbrained. And he has the balls to say on X that I, your host, is stealing from him. When meanwhile, he and his company are stealing hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dollars from working class people, people that are poor. And I'm the thief because I use the title of a video. He has no intellectual, folks, on this platform. Unless it's like, unless I say to myself, all right, I wrote this. Now I've done the videos and I've given him credit on the videos. I've done a video on Jeff McNeil that Wardy did. I gave him credit. I always give credit. Okay. He's just looking at and here's the thing. A random person, a random alternate, a random account on Twitter wrote to him and he responded. Now he has over 4,000 followers. These followers attacked my account. I don't bother anybody on the account. It's the most boring account you could possibly get. And then I had somebody write to me, okay, on the baseball channel, on the baseball hut. And this guy was giving me all kinds of grief. Saying that I was a thief. There's 2 things I can't, like I said, there's 2 things I can't deal with in my real life. I've been like this since I was a little kid, little hut. I don't like people calling me a liar because I flip out, and I don't like people calling me a thief. Because I've done so much in my life for so many people that I don't have anything to prove to some wannabe YouTuber, and here's the thing, Locked On Mets, they could get rid of that host tomorrow and put an AI created character there, and nobody would notice him. And I'll say this, I guarantee you, he Googles everything that he's searching. Right now, he's doing it now because He'll post these videos at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So he's writing this script up. I guarantee it's all AI generated. The ideas are all AI generated. When he can't find an idea, that's what he does. Because I'm sure his company tells him he could do that. For me, just to sort of compare myself to him and all these other channels, I don't want to be in the media. The media lies to us. Okay. They are scum. Complete, total, true scum. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. God willing. So we're going to go on this journey as Met fans for 25, 30 years online. That's never going to change. Okay. These guys are all going to be gone. This Ryan Finkelstein is going to be gone. He's not going to be around here forever. I'm going to be here long after him. I was here before him. And another thing, I've been doing videos on the Mets for 6 years. So this is not my, and I've had to deal with a very rough crowd on the comic book side. The comic book side is a rough crowd. Okay. Believe it or not. I mean, really rough. These guys are, dead nothing to me. That's why if you saw my tweets going back and forth, I laughed about it. Because it's so absurd. And to have some stranger say this about me. Because he got all twisted that the video was similar, the title of the thumbnail was similar. Get a life. And a lot of it is he has, I don't know if he's watched my videos, but he probably has very little confidence in himself. I have total confidence in running this channel and talking about the Mets. And I don't need a script. I just watch the games. I know the ball club. I know the ball club's history for the most part. So I don't need AI. Maybe I'll forget a player's name or whatever or something, or I mispronounce a name on a player. But everything here is all natural. Everything I do here is natural. There's no nonsense. I'm not doing anything dishonest. I'm an honest guy. So when people say this about me, because you can tell I'm very livid right now. Because now I'm starting to talk about it. Missio says, it's so funny how now that you mentioned it, you posted a video saying if changes are coming with the thumbnail, McGill and Locked On Mets posted the video after yours with similar title and thumbnail. So he's doing the same thing he's accusing you of. He Googles everything, okay? And some of the stuff that we talk about here is common sense. But I guarantee he's Googling it. Guarantee it. I guarantee it. Now, you won't find this on any other channel. I will address this. I don't care, okay? That's what this is what's different about what I do here at the Baseball Hut as opposed to these other channels. And you look at all the people in here. Please, of course, like this video and subscribe. I don't take any prisoners here because I'm dealing with real cutthroat people on the surface. Now, I was thinking about this. Somebody had written to me because I've been very critical of Francisco Lindor. Some clown wrote to me, say, you know what? If you were in an elevator with Francisco Lindor, you would not say the things you say about him on your videos. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you a story from when I was a kid. Obviously, I talk about WFAN and how great they were in the past. And I was a big Mike and the Mad Dog fan, big Imus fan. But when I was a kid, I went to a card signing at a card show. I went to a card show with Howard Johnson. This was in 1989. I was a kid. And I loved Hojo. Hojo was a great Met. I mean, you think about Hojo and Kevin Mitchell being on the 86 team. You had two guys that led the Mets in a home. They led the National League in home runs, got an MVP. But I loved Hojo. He's one of my favorite all-time Mets. And I went to go to a signing that he had at a car dealership in Flushing, not too far from Shea Stadium. And it was the first time I ever saw Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I must have been 15 years old at the time. I was about 15 years old at the time. And he and I was shocked to see what he looked like. I was surprised that he was this skinny guy. not much taller than me at the time. Uh, so I was very surprised to see him. When you hear the voice and you see the face, is very surprising. And it's not like now it's social media and stuff where you see the guys on TV and all the time and on social media all the time. But when I went up to him, I was like, "Oh, I'll get him to sign something," and I was like, "I'm going to say something to him," because he was riding Hojo that whole off season. Because Hojo had a bad year in '88. He was dealing with a couple bad shoulders, and he had a bad playoff against the Dodgers, and he was riding Hojo all off season. And I said to him, "You got some nerve coming here with Hojo here, and you've been on his ass all off season." So when it comes to me talking to these people, I will say what I think. So you guys never have to worry about me not saying what I think. I will tell you what I think. Because like I said, with the players, I'm not going anywhere. Some of these YouTubers, uh, first of all, I'm going to say this, and I think a lot of them, um, I know, I'm sure some of them are busy. I'm sure that Rob guy is probably very busy um, with work. I know that he does not, and this is just an overall critique. This is not any kind of thing negative about any of them, because we can all be better at what we do on here, including myself. I don't do enough live streams, but part of it is because I got all this responsibility at work and all these other channels. It makes it difficult for me to do it. But all these channels can do better online. Woody can do better. Okay. Uh, Rob can do better. Now I know Woody just had a kid, and it's going to be different for him moving forward. But his channel could do better. My channel can do better. And this Locked On Mets guy can do better, but the problem is he works for a corporation, and he's not his own man. Okay? And because he's not his own man, he cannot collaborate outside of his network. I know he did a collaboration with a Padres channel, which was a Locked On Padres channel. And another thing, Locked On is twofold. The guy that created the Locked On podcast, his last name was Locke. And secondly, lock is a gambling betting term. This bet is locked in, or that line from Seinfeld, it was a lock. It's a lock, Jerry, a lock, stuff like that. So that is a gambling term. That is a gambling term. So Locked On Mets will never grow more than he can because he is bound by contract because he's an employee making $18,000 to $21,000 a year. You can Google this yourself. You start researching it, and I was researching it. He doesn't go outside of this network, this gambling racket network. And I said this in videos. Gambling is immoral. Betting thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on an app on your phone is wrong. Okay? And I'm going to stick to that. I'm not changing that. I am very hell-bent on staying away from that. I don't know anything about gambling. I don't know anything about betting. I went to a racetrack once when I was a kid. My family went to a racetrack, and I went one time. And that's the only time we went as a family, and that was the only time I ever went to a racetrack. So I might have gone to a couple of OTBs with my dad, but I don't know anything about horse racing. Whenever we watch the horse, on the Kentucky Derby every year, I lose every year. I can never bet on. Just as a family, betting on it. Just sort of, well, this horse is going to win, that horse is going to win. Um, so I always lost. Although the one year my horse won the Kentucky Derby, but the son of a bitch horse got disqualified because he kicked one of the other horses. And my family was going crazy that I won and then I lost. So I stay away from gambling because really gambling only pays when you're winning. It's like that Genesis song. It's like that line from that Genesis song. Gambling only pays when you're winning. It doesn't pay when you're losing. Used to watch a lot this Real Sports, and they one segment they had on one of the shows was talking about how disgustingly destructive these apps on your phone when it comes to the gambling is. So many people's lives are destroyed by gambling. Meanwhile, this son of a bitch from Locked On Mets is telling me that I'm stealing his content. First of all, MLB owns the content. MLB allows us to talk about them. MLB allows us to use pictures, use video. Okay? So don't come being sanctimonious on Twitter because I'm doing a couple of videos and I didn't run from it. Okay? There's nothing wrong with what I did. Okay? I owned it. And like I said, I'm not backing down to some wannabe John Boy YouTuber. Because that's what they all want to be. I don't. Okay? My hard work got this new house. Okay? And you watching my videos, believe me, your support means so much to me. You have no idea. And I could be a pain in the ass. I could be grumpy. But let me tell you, this means everything to me. Because I had a goal when I started on YouTube to get a house. Okay? That was the number one goal I had on doing this stuff online, was to get myself a house. Because where we lived was disgusting. It was an old, dirty, dusty house. We hated it there. My entire family hated it there. Okay? And we couldn't get the hell out of there. You guys watching my videos, watching the live streams, leaving comments, you guys, okay? And I didn't ask you to put money into some app to gamble on anything. I didn't ask you to do any of that stuff. We just talk about the Mets. We talk about baseball. We talk about the stuff that we love to talk about. You know, and I can't thank you enough because this, I never thought I was going to get out of that abyss where I was living because it was terrible there. And it was getting worse over time. Over the last 5 years, it got 10 times worse. It was noisy. It was so noisy where I lived. Here it is quiet. Now I'm all the way out on Long Island now. I don't, but it's beautiful here. Uh, I mean, this place needs a lot of work. This place, it needs a lot of work. A lot of paint in this house. The windows need to be fixed better, properly. But this house is so much better than where we were. And you guys, and the few ladies that watch my channel, have been so important to me in my life because you were able to get me this. Now, over the next few years, you guys are going to help me pay the mortgage here. And I'm going to pay this mortgage off very quickly. I've set a goal. The mortgage is going to get paid off very quickly here. I got a long mortgage here. Hopefully things will get better with the economy over the next year or so. But over the next couple of months, you'll see more improvements. This is actually the studio. This is actually my studio here. This is where, and I actually have some new stuff here, some new like toys here. As you notice, I don't know if you noticed, but I have light here. See, I got a light here. But I don't know if I'm gonna have to wear sunglasses. Get to wear sunglasses during the live stream because this gets really bright. And I've been wanting to do improvements. See, I can turn the light out. But I want to do even more. And I've done videos outside. I want to do a live stream outside. That's one of the things I want to do here. Is do a live stream in my courtyard. During like the evening hours or early when it's not too hot. I can't really do it back here because when the sun comes down, it gets awfully hot in this room. But I really want to do different things here for you, give you different looks here. But that's kind of what I've been doing here. This was the goal. The goal was to get this place starting online. So when somebody comes at me saying you're dishonest, you're a thief, well, That's when your host starts to bring the big leg on him. That's when I don't put up with that. That I don't put up with that, and I never have since I was a kid. You know, um, I could give you other examples, but that's kind of where I'm at, and you can tell. I'm pretty livid about it. You can tell I've been really irritated with this for the last few days. And I was going to do a video on the baseball hut too, but today I was thinking, why don't I just discuss this in this live stream? Um, just talk about this in the live stream. I think would be a much more interesting situation. But the thing is that all these Mets channels could do much better. And if we were all to sort of get together and talk it out, but that's not going to happen because, first of all, I don't want anything to do with these people. And that's sort of my attitude in the very beginning doing videos on YouTube. Is I wanted to be very independent, do things on my own. And I went away from that. I was foolish to not listen to my first instinct on this stuff. But like I said, Mets won tonight. This sort of was a rant. It had anything to do with the Mets win. But Edwin Diaz is going to get suspended. The Mets are winning. They haven't stopped winning since Grimace showed up at the ballpark. And the Mets play the Yankees on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then they play the what the hell are they playing? At the Astros. the Astros have played well, by the way. They're getting close to 500. I think they're a game under 500 now. So the Astros are going to be tough, and the Mets won't have Diaz for the next 10 games. But over the next couple of days, you'll have plenty of videos. I did part of a video for tomorrow, but because this live stream went a little long, I'm going to have to do it in the morning. The other parts of that video. We'll talk about the Cubs series a little bit more in a more concise video. Talk about the different players that could be moved, particularly the pitchers like Shomania, Luis Severino, and, of course, Jose Quintana. I'll have a video including all that stuff, plus a preview of the Yankee series for Tuesday and whatever else I can come up with. It's all about looking on Google anyway. So you could just look this stuff up. But it's much more entertaining when I do it, and a hell of a lot more interesting and a lot less boring. Let's go through the numbers again. No. I know that a lot of guys like the numbers. We all like going through the numbers and stuff and going through these lists. This is no disrespect to the guys that do all these lists. The best. This guy. Let's go through the power list. Who's the best team this week? That's stupid. That's boring. That's boring to me. Not as boring to anybody else. You won't get that here. I'll do it once in a while. Maybe. But that doesn't really appeal to me. Because if I think it's boring, I think you'll think it's boring. Are you not entertained tonight? You get some gossip here. And if you saw the interaction the other day, I thought it was ridiculous, and I treated it with a ridiculous comment. My attitude was basically call a cop and have me arrested. And he didn't really care for that, but oh well, too bad. That's what happens when you take on the bull. You get the horns. You know what I mean? You get the horns when you deal with me sometimes, and I don't really want to do that. But these people are all strangers to me, and they're competitors. They're not collaborators. They're competitors. And if they're competitors, you run them over. And this is in between the lines, folks. This is not outside the lines. This is inside the lines. But if you're going to come at me on Twitter, I will hit you so hard you won't know what hit you. And I hope this gets out and gets back to him. I hope. And it will. Because this live stream's not, it's not getting taken down. And I didn't say anything terrible. I didn't say he's a terrible person. But if you live in a glass house, don't be throwing stones at mine. My little hut, my new hut. Well, anyway, so I will have videos on the prospect hut for you tomorrow. And just to give you previews about Luis and Acuna, the prospect hut's been doing pretty good over the last couple of days, primarily because I did rather interesting titles of it. and it's brought in quite a few bit of pennies in there. So I thank you because I know a lot of you watch those videos too. But I'll have that video tomorrow for you about Acuna. He's getting awfully close to being in the major leagues, I would think. And we'll see what the Mets do with Jeff McNeil. Let me see what else. I have a video for the baseball hut too, but let me see here. I got to come up with a title for it. It's already on there. I just got to create the title and the thumbnail for it. But I guess that's pretty much it. I'm a very busy guy. I don't need to hear somebody. I work hard. Well, we all work hard, asshole. We all work hard. I got 4 fucking channels. I gotta maintain and manage. I got a mortgage to pay. He's telling me how busy he is. Asshole makes money before he even does a video. From the salary he makes from Tenga. Give me a break. Well, anyway, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. I appreciate the time you get it, the time you take to watch my videos. Hello to Greg Zeman, a great subscriber. I saw your comment. I didn't get a chance to post it. People see it in the live stream. That is not a good sign. And you want to unsubscribe to people, that's up to you. You want to unsubscribe to me, that's fine. I'm in this for the long haul. This is not about people that get irritated by these internet spats, but I will stand up for myself when I need to. And if people don't like it, too bad. Too bad. Because I don't have a network and I don't have a boss. I am my own boss. And when you're own and you have your own, if you're your own boss and you have your own home, you could basically tell anybody that you deal with to go F themselves. And I said in a very nice way, in a very respectful way tonight. I don't curse, and if I do curse, it's meant to be in a comedic way. Well, thank you for watching this live stream. This is not something you get anywhere else. That's for damn sure. You don't get this anywhere else. But I just wanted to get this because I like talking to you guys like you're my friends. I like talking to you like you're just shooting the breeze at a bar, just shooting the breeze at the ballpark. I don't want to talk to you guys like I'm better than you. I don't talk down to people. And if I talk to people in a negative way, it's usually in a way that I make fun of them in some way. But I thank you for going through this rant. And of course, we'll be back in the near future with a live stream. Maybe we'll do one on Tuesday. But the Yankees tend to play 5-hour games. They still do that. So maybe I'll be on after the game. Who knows? And of course they'll be off on Tuesday. The Mets are not on TV on Friday. They're playing on that stupid Apple TV, which drives me crazy because then I can't watch it and really analyze the club. But I'm not going to be home that night anyway. But thank you for watching this live stream. Hit the subscribe button. Like the video. Be back in the near future. I appreciate the time you take to watch. You all have a good night. And of course, that's it. And that's the story.